Hey guys, we are starting a new podcast. I'm Baron J67, and this is
Walt. Hello.
from not only a dope writer here at Level 1 Gaming, but a co-host of the Shock and Sense podcast. Why do I always want to get it tongue-tied when I say that? I'm sorry. Like, I always feel like I'm saying it wrong. I said it right.
You
Correct?
said it right. And
Okay.
we at the beginning we were like, I told Macho, which is the one that came up with the name. I was like, that rolls off the tongue real well because it's Dual Shock and Sense, and it just feels right. But you feel like you say it wrong.
Yeah, and I'm just like the Dual Shock, like but it flows
Yeah.
and then it works, and of course with the whole PlayStation. But we're not here to talk about games. We're not here to talk about video games. Not even video game adaptations of these manga and light novels and other things we're going to be discussing. But this is a new podcast here at Level 1 Gaming because we love reading, especially manga, and I'm a sucker for audiobooks and all these other things. This is going to be the Page Turners podcast. Now,
What?
right? I know it's weird.
What?
I know we just started a podcast. Like, you gotta love this world we live in now. Like, some people think it's bad. Like, oh, everybody can just pick up a mic and talk. And I'm like, no, I think it's great. Like, there's so many things I would have never heard about, or different ideas, different books, so many different recommendations. But we're here to talk about manga. Now, I want to ask you, Walt, what got you into manga? Like, what was... Well, because I want to give folks a background for this being the first episode of, like, who we are and, what we... how we got to this space, especially... Because it's not going to be only manga, but for a while, we're probably only going to talk about manga.
Yeah, it'll be the thing we go back to always, and like what truly, because reading for me, I as we all know, in education and as you grow up, the way that we're taught to read, it doesn't appeal to many people.
Not fun.
Say that it's not fun. They don't make it fun. So you grow up, with a disdain for reading. But what got me into reading wasn't a book; it was manga. And I still remember to this day. I was in Barnes and Nobles, and I saw that they had samples for a certain manga, and it was Attack on Titan Volume 1. And I was like, what is this? Like, I've never in my life. What is this, anime? An anime book? And I picked it up. It was a very very short. It was a sample. I mean, it was like a chapter or two. And I picked it up. I breezed through it, and let me tell you that changed my life. Like, I haven't stopped reading manga since then. That was like 10, 12 years ago. Like, I am in. And after that, I started. My first book was The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I just kept reading his stuff. I started reading. I'm currently reading Brandon Sanderson's The Way of Kings.
Okay.
That's a big boy.
Yeah.
The first audiobook that I'm actually listening to, I've never heard or listened to audiobooks, is Disrupting the Game by Reggie Fils-Aimé. So the book that the former CEO of Nintendo, he wrote a book. And how he went from from what was it, I think the Bronx all the way to the top of Nintendo. So I'm listening to that. He's the one that narrates it, so it's super dope.
I love when the author, especially somebody who has a charismatic voice, because Reggie has a like, if you guys have seen any presentations, any old school directs or any, Reggie knows how to move a crowd. But keep going.
Absolutely. No, for sure. He's a very charismatic. He has the qualities of a leader. He has the, like, on the surface, he's very leader-ish in that way. But I started with Attack on Titan. Over here in the back, you see this dark square. That's my shelf of manga and books. It's mostly manga. That's what I mostly read. Even though I got into reading actual books. Part of the reason why we started this podcast, I told Baron, hey Baron, when we were like pitching the idea, I was like, Baron, I want to like have, in my mind, I was like, I want to have an incentive to read, like it's like homework. Because I don't know about you, but for me, many times, like, oh, you have a lot of freedom is like scarier than like, hey, you have this deadline.
Yeah. What do they say? Deadlines make progress or something like that. Like, there's an old saying, and I'm butchering it, but it's along the lines of, if you don't have anything set, you won't get anything done.
Exactly. And for me, it's like, if I enjoy reading, and it's a leisurely, I experience, and I love it. I relax myself, but there's other things, this day and age of ADHD where you have to be distracted at all times. So I find myself playing video game while watching a podcast, while having a tab on the side that I'm writing an article, and I'm not, and I have to be distracted. I have to be distracted.
I'm the same way. Like I legit will, like you just said, I will sit here, I'll be playing a game, I'll have whether it's a Spaces up or a podcast up, or an audio book. And then what sucks is I play a lot of like role playing games, so it's a lot of narrative and story stuff. So I literally can't. And it's but
The
with
whole thing.
so like with the reading, right? For me, and I feel like I just completely cut you off. Were you done? My bad.
No, you're good. No, you
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay.
It's back and forth.
Right. So with reading for me, I fell in love with I really started heavy with books. My mom used to really push books on me growing up, and then I came across Ender's Game back in elementary school, and then what was it? Bean's Legacy, or Ender's Legacy, the story of Bean, and then My Side of the Mountain. These are like old, like a few of those are American classics. Like
Right. Like
what
school
else?
classics.
Yeah, The Giver. I freaking love that book, bro. I and it's funny. I haven't seen all of The Giver, the movie adaptation, and I haven't seen My Side of the Mountain, the movie. And then I refuse to watch Ender's Game movie because of how much I love the book. Like,
I've only seen the movie for that.
okay, well, check this out. So what's crazy is this is starting to roll over. This problem of mine is starting to roll over into my manga reading. I don't want to watch. Like, okay, so I read all the way up, and I know this is not what we're talking about today. I read all the way through the current runs of Spy Family.
Mm-hmm.
The moment I don't even want to watch it anymore. I don't like.
I feel you.
And I used to not understand, right? Like, even though somebody who like, I get mad at the Harry Potter movies. I get mad at them.
Okay.
But I didn't understand when people would be like, "Oh no, the manga's better." Like, anime's trash, and I'm like, I ain't gonna say all that. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and get on that soapbox. Like, that's a lot. But after like really reading up when it comes to Spy Family, I'm like, yeah, I get it now. Cause especially knowing what's gonna happen and then seeing how they're drip feeding you. Like I think of Shield Hero. Like, would I enjoy Shield Hero as much as I do if I read up? I remember. Okay, let me get to the origin of my love for manga, because it's recent for me. Because I grew up. I read a lot of comics, and I read a lot of graphic novels. Like, that was always stuff that I read, especially like compendium books, like Saga, The Walking Dead. Stuff like that. Like, I read a lot of that.
Yeah.
And
like
then
long running ones.
Yeah,
and like
yeah. Like even comic book like Civil War, like a lot of the compendium,
right.
because it's expensive to go out and just get issue by issue, and then I don't, I got a bunch of big hard case books, but what was I talking about?
Your origin of manga.
Origin of manga. Tokyo Revengers. That was like that last episode. If no spoilers, because I'm horrible at spoiling. Now, now with the issues that we're talking about, so today's title is going to be around Kaiju number 8 and chapter 1 through 5. We're going to get spoilery. That's going to happen, but I'm going to do my best to avoid spoiling ahead or spoiling other shows that we're talking about. So, and Walt, please hold me to it, because I'm bad at, like, he knows I'm horrible.
I'm already ever since that fame moment, I'm like, bro, you gotta stop.
I'm horrible because it's so like,
you get excited. No, I feel you. That's me with movies, where I'm like, oh, remember when Thanos did this? And I'm like,
and everyone's like, hey man. But no, so Tokyo Revengers, there was a crazy moment that happened in the last episode. I don't know if there's been a new season since, but in the most recent episode, it is something super extremely dramatic, and I refuse to wait.
Extremely dramatic.
I'm talking like peak Sopranos dramatic. And I refused. My wife was so angry with me because we were watching the anime together. I sat down for maybe like 3 or 4 hours and read up like another like 50, 60 issues. Like I don't think I'm being dramatic. I think there's that much more.
Oh yeah, there's 265 chapters right now.
Oh, then I said issues. Clearly a comic book guy.
No, I feel you.
Yeah. They're chapters. No, it's a difference. They're chapters. No, but right. Look, we're getting all technical. I'm like, well, actually, they're chapters.
Well,
yeah. Well, but no. So then I'm lying. I read up, and it's funny because I want to explain how far I read up, but I can't without spoilering. Okay,
I'm cut up. So like, I mean,
everybody. Okay, put it this way. I'll generalize it. Okay. Everybody knows. I read up to that point. Okay. And then I took a break because I realized I was reading a lot, and I realized I was like zooming through it, and then like
I zoomed through it.
Yeah, I gotta. Okay, are you one of those like? How many issues you think you can read in like 30 minutes?
In 30 minutes, it depends on the type of. Because here's the thing: if I'm watching or reading rather, like let's say an Attack on Titan, it's like heavy on action. I have to take my time and take in the action scenes. Or if I'm reading something like My Hero, where it's more like story, characters interacting, I can speed through it a bit more because it's like in the heat of the moment. But it depends on the chapter. Some chapters are slower than others, so I can, take my time with them and actually digest everything. Sometimes it's so simple I can just. But for Tokyo Revengers, I'm gonna be honest. I spat through. I mean, okay, Attack on Titan. I watched the latest season, and then I read 30 chapters in like an hour and a half or something. Like I just went through it.
Bro, that's a long. Okay, so for me, when it comes to the action sequences, I usually look at them fast to enjoy it as if I'm watching a show, like a flip book. Yeah, like a flip book. And the issues that make me slow down the most and that I actually get kind of bored with are that I usually enjoy in an anime is the like when they do a flashback. Flashbacks for some reason I don't know why, but they like mess me up, and then all I hear is the Naruto sad music whenever I'm reading. Whenever I'm reading,
the flute.
Every time I'm reading the freaking flashback scenes, bro. Like that's the song that's running. Because folks, we haven't got to what we're here to talk about today, but we're just giving you some.
There's a little intro to get to know us a bit more.
Yeah. I watch a lot of anime. I used to be really action heavy. If it wasn't dope fighting from the rip, I used to really walk away from it. I grew up on Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, I feel you, man.
You know what I mean? Like, what can you say? But now, like where I am in my anime watching now, I am totally hooked on romantic comedies. Like, that is my absolute thing. I mean, Fruit Basket. I just wish they were older. Like, that's a whole nother issue in a situation. Like, why can't? Like, I seen
there's
one.
There's a couple that are older. So like older in the sense of
like just put them in college.
Oh, okay. Like the characters themselves. Okay, so there's I believe 2 of them that I know of that they are older are Wotakoi, Life as an Otaku.
Okay.
And Horimiya. I think Horimiya is
no Horimiya. They're in high school.
Oh, are they?
But it seems like they seem older,
dude.
Because
it's like Persona 5. Like they seem like
yes. But I get it. Like it's within that realm. I can't say too much because I watch
in Japan. I think there's like some.
But I can't. Age. But I'm gonna tell you, I can't say too much because I sit here and watch angsty teen dramas all day. Like, I watch it, so I'm not gonna sit here and act like
and
I'm above it.
Like it's not like we're wanting to.
Yeah.
It's like My Hero. It's like in My Hero when you like look at like Ochako, you're not like, oh my god, I want to marry her. No, it's like I love her as a daughter. Yeah, well, those are weirdos. But then you see people like Midnight, and it's like you can do whatever you want in your mind. That's a teacher. That's an adult.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you know,
Or
there's
what's
no
her name? Lady Mountain or whatever.
Mountain Lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So
Enough thirsting.
enough thirsting. You guys got a little insight into us, and make sure in the comments down below, let us know if you have any other questions about what we've read or what we plan on reading. But yeah, so let's actually jump into what today's topic is for the first episode of the Page Turners podcast. So we're here talking about Kaiju number 8. Now, who's the author again? And I butcher names.
Naoya
Matsumoto. Okay, I will butcher these names, and my wife makes fun of me, bro. I usually don't know the names of the characters.
Oh.
And it's not because I don't know who they are,
No,
but it's just because it's such a visual thing, and I don't want to butcher their name, and I'm reading it, so I don't know their name. And then even when it comes to subbed anime, I struggle with like naming the characters outside of the ones whose names are frequently said, because if I don't hear it enough, I can pick you out and I can tell you where you're from. I can tell you your abilities, but to just be able to say your name, because I'm afraid of butchering it. So I will be butchering a lot of names. Got it.
Because I know Spanish, and Spanish helps with a lot of the like vowels and whatnot, that they're the same as Japanese. Like
Got it.
A-E-I-O-U, like it's the same A-E-I-O-U, same in Japanese.
So it's easy to roll off the tongue. Like,
yeah.
it's
So
right there.
if you need names, I'm your boy. Like I
got you. Thank you. Okay. So by Naoya Matsumoto, and I love this name, manga. I love it, bro.
Good.
And then they're adult. It's an adult. Like they're adults.
They're adults.
They're adults, bro. They're adults, and it just makes me want more adult. Like not even just like perverted. Like that's not what I'm talking about. Not adult as in like mature. It's just they're older people. Like the dude's 30. What is he? 32.
32. Yeah.
Yeah, yep. And man. Okay, so first 5 issues. What do you want to give a breakdown of what's going on in the world of Kaiju number 8?
So in Kaiju number 8, essentially, as the name entails, it's a world where Kaiju appearances are a norm. Like it just happens all around the world. But our story takes place in Japan, or Nishitoki or something. There's a different name for the region because it's like a more advanced society where they've taken measures to fight against these kaiju. What's so interesting is that it's not just big monster comes in, we take him down. No, there's different denominations. There's kaiju, there's hoju, there's daikaiju. Like there's different types of kaiju depending on their strength, their behavior, which is super cool. And essentially we have 2 sides to taking care of these kaijus. You have the neutralization force, which is the Japan defense force.
Yep.
They got the guns, they got the gear, the badasses. But then you have
the mechs, the like
heroes.
mini mech suits.
Dude, we'll get into that in the power system in this manga. But then you have the unsung heroes. You never think about this in any movie.
Never.
Ever. It's essentially a cleanup company that dedicates themselves to making sure that any remains of kaiju are swept, it's clean, it's disposed of, recycled if they need for gear, if they need for materials. Like these kaiju are like scavenged. Like they're purposed. And essentially, the protagonist is part of that cleanup crew, by the name of Kafka Hibino. Kafka. I love that name. It's
right. It sounded Russian. I thought it was like Russian. Like
it was like a Spy Family kind of thing. Or
it's like Kafka. No, but
Kafka.
I wonder how he's gonna sound in the anime. But that's a whole different situation.
Which got announced that there's gonna be an anime.
Yep.
I don't know if this fall, but it's happening.
Yeah.
Which already this fall is looking packed for anime. Like,
Oh
it's crazy.
yeah, it's gonna be silly, dude. It's gonna be
It's insane.
and then everything's coming back. Bleach coming back. I think they just reissued Zatch Bell. They're doing like a new
I've
Zatch
never
Bell.
read Satch Bell, and I want to start reading it.
I watched it growing up. I watched it as a kid, but I never read the manga.
Watched
So,
it in Cartoon Network or Toonami, whatever it was, wherever it aired. I remember watching. I had the GameCube game. Like, I had a blast with it.
Yep.
But in terms of Kaiju number
Yes.
8, I like that it's a shonen. So you have your tropes. You know, you have a protagonist that is aiming for a absurdly long-term goal.
Yeah.
That will take a lot of effort. But why is that? Because he is severely underleveled.
I love
Very underleveled.
I love the hero's journey. I love the hero's journey, and I'm glad to, as much as we watch it with like teens and whatnot, but to see it from a different angle. And I don't know if it's maybe because I'm in my 30s now, like
Yeah.
but it feels good to finally like to have something naturally
To relate.
progress with you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel you. It's like for me, it's like Naruto. Naruto, you see him grow from a like 14-year-old, 15-year-old, kid that wants to be Hokage to
Now he's a dad.
Hokage.
Yeah.
Yeah, now he's a dad. Now
Yeah.
it's like that's the progression you want to see. Same with Bleach. One Piece is the exception because One Piece starts with Luffy being already like almost of age, and then he becomes an adult, and almost everyone is an adult in that show. So it's like perfect there. But
Right.
in this one, here's the thing, because we're gonna talk the first 5
Yes.
chapters of this manga, but we're gonna talk about not necessarily in order, just about what we like, what we
Yeah.
how it compares in terms of setting up with other anime, and which getting to that right now, I think it just drops you in.
Yeah.
Right from the get-go.
So looking over it again before we went live, it was such a trip to see how within 3 pages in the first chapter you go from you start off, the very first panel is of a kaiju. A kaiju, like, yeah, that's exactly how it starts off. A kaiju, like, giant, it looks like a bearded dragon, and it's huge. Clearly it's a kaiju, and it's like destroying, what is it, Yakamoto or something like that? Yokohama, thank you. And it's like destroying it, and then within the next panel, the next page, it's killed.
Yep.
Like, and it wasn't even in dramatic fashion, but it didn't take away from what was happening. What it did, in my opinion, is it really set up that, hey, yeah, this is what it's going to be about, but we're not focusing on this. We're going to focus, because in between those few that page, there was a couple panels where it showed the cleanup crew. It showed Kafka before you even knew he was Kafka, and you just see them looking at the scenario. And it's funny just watching dudes watching this big old monster battle, and they're all just kicking back, getting ready to go to work. Like, just no big deal. They're all
Which is
sitting
insane.
Yeah.
Because it's like they're not in awe.
Nope.
They're not outstanding. They're just like, damn, that's gonna be a pain to clean up.
Yeah, that's exactly how they're talking. Like, just another day at the office, and it's just monster literally destroying a city. And what made this stand out to me, and what made me like this so much, right, was I like the obscure angles of manga, comics. Like, I want to see, like, I wouldn't mind, like, this is what was it, The Walking Dead, Tales of the Walking Dead, or whatever, the I can't think of the company that went out of business.
Telltale, the Telltale game.
Yeah, the Telltale Walking Dead games. I like that idea. Show me what it is to be a kid growing up in a post-apocalyptic world. Like, give me through those eyes, like, what's going on and how to perceive. So show me what it is to live in a world where kaijus are constantly popping up, but yet somebody has to make sure they disappear. Otherwise, we'd have giant corpses everywhere and, like, uninhabitable areas because of bio waste from these freaking giant monsters that are popping up every week.
Basically.
Yeah,
And it's not like it's a video game where it just despawns.
No, they're there. You know? Like they are. There's really
repercussions to it.
Exactly. And like I wouldn't mind seeing like some form of like offshoot of Kaiju #8 where it just follows like an insurance worker. Like,
dude, it's hell. It has to be hell.
It has to be horrible. Like an insurance agency, like just in the world of Kaiju #8. But that's why this stood out so much to me, because it took a completely different angle while still showing the intensity of what's going to be happening. So it wasn't like a boring. It still showed you. And once again, folks, this is all within the first like 2 panels or 2 pages.
Yeah, because the first chapter is 70 pages or something. It's like 60 pages. So it's typically, I think this is like already the norm for anime stock shonen specifically. The first chapter is the longest chapter because it takes its time introducing you to the foundation of what you need to know. And in this one, it's just a few things. Your cause and effect, like what are we dealing with?
Yep.
Your location and your characters. And with that, they don't go into power system, the power in this and no. They just, hey, there's a story about a guy that is in his midlife probably crisis or getting to that, you know. What's so interesting also, it reminded me of what was it, Spider-Man Homecoming, when with the Vulture's origins as a cleanup, like the crew that made sure after the Chitauri attacked in Avengers, he was the one that made sure that everything was taken care of. So it gives you a sense of there's cogs to this machine. It's not just it's crazy. It's like in Dragon Ball. Imagine how people feel when they see mountains blow up. It's like, what's that gonna do to the environment?
Bro, why is that a whole nother thing in itself? or the fact that people in the world of DBZ or Dragon Ball period get snapped and unsnapped at least once a year, because of the Dragon Ball situation. Like it's
mind blowing.
Yeah. Like, what do you mean? Like, we're missing like so and so? Yeah, they died, but don't worry, Goku's going to collect the Dragon Balls. We won't do a funeral. We'll save money on the insurance. Can you imagine? Somebody's like running insurance scams in the world of Dragon Ball because they keep like dying and getting snapped back. Like,
you know that exists. You know, I would love to see more of that.
Yeah, just the obscure.
It's like with this, why I appreciate so much the origins of the character, because typically, you're seeing this a lot lately with shonen. With Tokyo Revengers, let's bring that up because that's your first, what introduced you. With Tokyo Revengers, you don't have like a prophesized child. Although the character does have a certain power, the power is not what gives him the advantage. It only is a tool. Exactly. It's something for him. It's all about him. Like, he needs to put in the work. That just puts him in a place where he is able to put the work. And even still, it's not about how strong he is. It's not about how... No, it's about... This man can take a punch. He can take 100 punches and he will not back down.
Yep.
And with this one, they established that what's so special about Kafka is not that he is gifted with powers or he's prophesized. No, he's just a very... Not in the beginning, he's not disciplined, but he does have that determination and motivation to become the best that he can be, but he doesn't have it in him. And that's where, of course, it's a story, so we're not going to have plot armor.
Yeah, right. This isn't Mortal Kombat movie.
Exactly. When we to get his origin out of the way, it's him, and he acquires the abilities of becoming a kaiju.
And folks, we're going to be spoiling anything we put in the title that we're going to be talking about. We're going to be spoiling because we don't want to sit here and keep dancing around. And that's why we put parameters of the chapters, because we're going to be spoiling and talking about anything within there. What tripped me out, because once again we're jumping around between 1 and 5. What tripped me out is there was no grand entry of him getting his power. It was a
comedic moment.
Yeah, like it was one of the most what the hell moments in a lot of manga, anime that I've came across. It was not grand at all. He was literally laying in the bed and a baby nasty looking flying kaiju was like, "Oh, Kafka, there you are," and jumped in his damn mouth.
I found you.
Yeah, there you go. And that's what happened. That is how Kafka get. So the image you guys see on the on our screen, that image is Kafka in his kaiju form, and he gets that from this little ugly ass flying nasty. You know what it looks like? It looks like one of the little demons from Jujutsu Kaisen.
Oh, one of the curses.
It looks like one of the curses. Like that. That's exactly what it looks like.
It looks like a henchman. Like it looks like a trickster kind of thing, where it's like it tries to
yeah.
Effectively, it did. Which, how Kafka got to that vulnerable position, because the first whole chapter. I mean, it's the longest chapter. It's bigger than all the other 4 chapters combined, I think.
True.
It's the fact that he doesn't get the power until literally the last page of the first chapter. Everything is setting up him and the crew, what he does for a living, a little comedy here and there, some badass moments from what he's aspiring to, which I think is very important. Is the fact that he doesn't just want to become strong because that's cool and whatever.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about that. He made a promise to his childhood friend,
Mina.
Captain Mina, she is the strongest in the platoon or in the division that he wants to join.
Which is Division 3.
Division 3, because there's a lot of division.
Yeah.
We're probably going to see people that are stronger than Mina, but that's not the point. The point is not power scaling. The point is that Kafka wants to get to a point, and it's letting you know this is what he's going to fight for. And he sees her, and he's in awe. And for a moment, you see that he, like, hesitates, and he's like, oh, man, like, I feel like a failure. But then he's like, no, I promised I'll meet you at the top. I'm going to meet you at the top. And
believe it. No,
legit.
right.
Legit. And what I love about Mina is that power didn't change her.
Yep.
She doesn't show to be this, stereotypical, like, oh, I'm at the top, or you're a weakling, you don't deserve to be up here.
What's the phrase that they usually, that I thought she was gonna fall into, that tsundere, or how do you say it?
Yeah. I know exactly the type you mean.
I thought that's what she was gonna fall into, but not even close. Like you said, she's very just grounded. Yeah, like she is.
Right.
And she wants him to win. Like, because that's within the first 5 chapters. I hope I'm not getting ahead.
She's like, she's not wishing him any ill. She's just like, what do you got?
Yeah, like get here.
I remember the promise you gave me.
Yep.
And they show how that promise happened. It's like a landscape of the city, and it's like destroyed, and
their kids.
A lot of chaos.
Yeah.
Their kids, and I think it's Kafka, the one that's like, hey, we're gonna become strong, and she's like, yeah, like he's the one that motivates her. But then he loses motivation on the way and ends up being here because he is not incredibly strong, but they hint at him having lost discipline on the way. So he never really gave it his all, which is why he ended up where he's at, which is not a bad position.
Yeah, he's working a good job, but he's living a sad, miserable life.
Exactly. He has an
sleeping
apartment,
on
he has
beer
a big
cans.
Car.
Yeah.
And I like that panel where he says, like, do I really hate what I'm doing? Do I hate this job where I get an apartment for myself? They pay a paid apartment. He can afford it. And then it pans out and it shows all the beer cans where it's like he's not happy.
He's not happy. He just seems miserable. And then he has to. What was he on, intestine duty? So folks,
disgusting.
Like they go into detail, and this what made this so special for me, at least. Like, they showed how they really had to go in, break down specific things. There's teams like, hey, we need somebody to go clear out the intestines, and then they make jokes about that. And then we get introduced to his friend / sidekick.
His momentarily pupil, he's a pupil, but he's also like a rival.
Yeah,
and he's many things. He's a friend. I'd say he's like a partner.
Because he looks super badass when you first meet him. Like,
so cool.
Reno Ichikawa.
There we go.
Reno Ichikawa. he just looks like a super badass, and he actually is new on the job with Kafka, and he's under Kafka, and Kafka's training him. And along the way of training him, because this leads up to how Kafka gets his powers, as they're like debating and arguing because Reno wants to join the Japan Defense Squad, and then along talking about joining the Defense Squad, he actually lets Kafka know, like, hey, they raised the age limit to 33, which Kafka is 32. He thought he aged out to where it was done. It was like a dream slithered in the wind. But what was so crazy is just how the timing of it all works. So you have somebody who's hyper motivated and doing this as a stepping stone to get into the Defense Force, because who else is working that close to Kaiju other than the people killing them and the people cleaning them up? It's almost like a weird, not a pipeline system. It's not like, hey, at least from the way it looks, it's not like, oh, go work for the cleaning force if you want to get to the Defense Force. But it was just more or less a better introduction than dealing with Kaiju. Like, is that kind of how they sold it?
He explained how he joined the cleaning crew, but it's because he wanted to learn more about the Kaiju before he went to become an actual soldier or an actual, squad member. And who better? And Kafka demonstrates that he's like super knowledgeable about Kaiju anatomy. Like, it's insane how it's quick. Like, it's one panel to the next. Because there's a Kaiju or a Hoju. Which is a smaller Kaiju.
And what's the order again? Break it down if you remember, because I know for me, all I know is Kaiju, and then I just call everything Kaiju, even though that's not what they're called.
So there's Kaiju, there's Honju, and then there's Kaiju, Honju, and then the Daikaiju, which is
those are the numbered ones, right?
Yeah, like the super powerful ones, which get designated numbers, which
we have
once they number 8 you can get by the title. Kaiju number 8 is probably Kafka. We'll see later on.
Next time on
Kaiju number 8.
Will he be a numbered Kaiju?
Daikaiju and Jonju, I think it is. Because I think there's like the weakest ones. There's the strong ones. We only know about the
and then they made a
Honju.
And they made a reference. I don't know what they called them, or if they said, watch out for remnant Kaiju. When they killed a few panels after they killed the first Kaiju that you see in the chapter 1, there was a notice that went out across the city, like, hey, watch out for remnant. I'm going to find it. Remnant somethings.
So the residual beasts.
There you go. That's what they were calling them, residual
Joju.
beasts.
So those are the Joju. The Honju, because they're all Kaiju. Everything's a Kaiju. But Honju is the big one that they defeat, the bearded dragon-looking one. And then Joju is the one that's like, hey, I'm a scavenge for whatever's here. Like,
which
the
that thing was creepy. Okay.
Had a human face.
Dude, one thing that tripped me out, especially within, of course, within these first 5 chapters, the varied design between the monsters, and that's pretty dope, right? Like I think of Jujutsu Kaisen, right, which I'm reading that one as well. Just the variety, like, of course, the ones that are not named and don't have dialogue, they kind of just make them look like weird blobs and throw them up, and I feel like that's for time's sake, which makes sense. Like, I'm not
drawing is hard.
Yeah, and that's another thing I want to preface, and I just want to let you guys know, I'm not an artist, and that I don't draw, like, not formally. I've never written any manga or anything like that, but I got a love for the art, and so I'm looking at it from a, what's the word I'm looking for? Not a common, but a entry level eyes. Like, I don't know, so you're going to be hearing a lot of mistakes. You're going to be hearing references that don't make sense. So for me, when I make when I'm discussing about, like, even Jujutsu Kaisen and them drawing the blobs, in my head, it just makes sense. Like, why would you spend a bunch of time making a monster that they're going to destroy in, like, 5 seconds? Like, why do it has no dialogue, has no this, like, that just sounds like it's going to add that much more work unnecessarily. At least in my thought. So, but rolling it back, to Kaiju number 8, these creatures are so varied. Like the Honju versus the Kaiju, like I said, one looked like a giant bearded lizard. Not so much like one-to-one bearded lizard, but you could tell that was like those features. But then to this humanoid, elongated, almost berserk style monster.
Abomination.
There you go.
Nightmare fuel.
There you go. To go from a lizard monster to nightmare fuel within the same issue. Like just showing the range of what you're going to be dealing with. And I think that's super dope to show the scope and range of what you could potentially see within the world of Kaiju number 8. Wow, that sounded like I knew what I was talking about.
No, hey man, that's what it's about, man. Fake it until you make it.
Hey,
man. Because here's the thing: the page turners, we're not about the snobbiness. We're not about we're about feeling it, loving it, and talking about it. And listen, there's Google.
Yeah.
If you think we're wrong on something, just Google it.
This
is not an.
And let us know in the comments. Yeah. Oh yeah.
This is not tech talk. Don't take anything we say as a factual information, like something you can apply in real. No, this is just two people talking about manga and literature and loving what we see, and it's art. Art is subjective. So
yes. Okay, because we're starting to get close to that mark. But I want to know what panel stood out to you the most out of these 5 chapters. Like which one was just like, oh, that would be. Ooh, we should call it. We should call this segment. This is on the fly, guys. We should call this like the desktop image segment. Like what?
Oh.
Like what panel would you want? Because I got mine. I didn't do this on purpose, but I just wrote down the notes like which panel really like. I was like, oh, that's it.
I don't know if it's the same one as mine.
It probably is. It probably
is. Is it colored?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dude.
Blood Rain,
right? Dude.
That Blood Rain scene!
That
was so dope!
It is. I get goosebumps. Because here's the thing,
man.
It's epic, it's beautiful, it's the imagery, but then you just think about what Kafka is feeling. He's like, oh, wow.
Look what I could do.
I did that.
Like, oh.
I gotta be careful.
Yeah, and that's what it was. It wasn't I'm a badass. It was, I'm a weapon. Like, I'm dangerous.
I'm a menace to society.
Yeah, that's what it was. And then it just, it got accentuated with the red blood raining from the sky.
They colored it.
Oh, bro. I was like.
And Reno was like, oh.
Yeah.
Gotta be careful with what you got there.
And then the little girl, it was Reno, the little girl, and Kafka. Like,
yeah.
Bro.
Which I'll let you dive more into that. Let me real quick. I'm gonna speed run because there's more introduction episode, but I want to do the other chapters more service. I wrote some notes because there's a lot of good.
No, go for it. Yeah, no, please carry. Because yeah.
So the rain, the blood. Oh, that was beautiful. After that, I love how the promise was made, and that hasn't been forgotten, even 30 years in the making, whatnot. Mina has a tiger that she fights with. That's one of those things. Like anime, it's like I'll know eventually. If not, it's whatever. It's cool. It's cool. I don't judge.
Yeah.
He meets Kikoru Shinomiya, which is the snobby rich girl that
I forgot about
her. Like the top. Like she has like they explain the power system, which is through these suits that they put on, and then the suits they draw out their power. These suits are provided by the Japanese Defense Force or Japan Defense Force. And essentially they go through like the main cast. We get 3 people: Haruichi Izumo, Haru Furuhashi, and Aoi Kaguragi. Which these are like 3 dudes that are like, oh, this one was valedictorian from this university.
Yeah.
And one's like 20%, one's like 18%, one's like whatever. And the instructors, they're like, oh man, we get lucky if anyone passes 10%. And then the Shinomiya is like 30 or 40%. And it's like, what the hell is going on? Like she trained.
And they're saying that didn't they make reference that she's supposed to be like that top dog, right? Like they
like
knew,
the next
they knew of her before she even. And it's funny because her introduction, like within the first moments of meeting her, she throws Kafka's car, like because it was parked in
she's
her
like,
lucky number. Yeah, like she legit picks up, and while she's wearing her suit, and that was actually the introduction to the suits. Is when she like you see them, but they kind of put emphasis on it in that moment. And don't they they measure them in percentages, right?
Yeah, so essentially when the power is measured, it's when they put the suit on and immediately they start saying, "Oh, you're able to draw out this. You're able to draw out this." Later on they elaborate on it, but we'll get to that when we get to that. How they introduce it is her. She's like, "Oh, move your car, Kafka, that crappy car," and he's like, "It's my company car," and he's like being like a dad. He's like being like a, "Hey, little missy," like, and she's like, "I'll move it," moves it.
Not just moves it. No. Not just moves it. She one hand picks it up and then tosses it on its side.
But then Kafka and Reno, they agreed that Kafka is not going to use his powers because if he does, the government is going to experiment on him and use him as a weapon, possibly. So he has to be low key. And Reno is like the babysitter. And he's like, "Hey, you better, be careful." And then Kafka, when he sees the car being thrown, he low key, he just goes and puts it back on. But he doesn't show any transformation. But then he tells Reno like, "Oh, I only needed to transform just a little bit." So now we're getting a sense that Kafka has like some mastery because it's been like what, like a couple months. It's been like 3 months.
I think there was a little time thing, and that's something that I like that they did. I'm glad we didn't get. I'm glad they don't do too much like montage and too much fill. Like
they just right into it.
It just flows. I mean, and we kind of seen where that was going with the way Chapter 1 started. But keep going.
They show him move the car, so we get a hint at that. After that, they go in, they meet the other candidates. That's the people I mentioned before. It's a full room. It's looking to be a promising year. Apparently, there's a lot of great candidates. We get introduced to Vice Captain Hoshina, which great character. We'll get more into him later when he gets more screen time. Captain Hashiro, we get Ashino, is it? Mina Ashino. She gets her little
Ashiro.
panel. She's in her apartment and she's thinking about Kafka, and specifically, I love that moment. She remembers Kafka saying, "We promised to be on the top," and then she mutters to herself like, "Liar."
Yep.
Liar.
Hey, that moment is what I was talking about earlier. That took her from what I thought she was gonna be. Like, because let's be honest, a lot of the times, just like with any story, there's archetypes and people usually fall into it pretty easily.
The Bakugos.
Yeah, like there's always that. I mean, hell, there's one of those. He even has teeth and everything. Which one is he? What's his name again? He has
I think that's
his hair's like whipped like Gunjukyo.
Yeah, he's like he's the he looked like a shark. Yeah, he looks
like
yeah.
But no, like I'm glad that they took a different angle other than her just being a stuck up like the Ice Queen from what's it called? I can't believe I forgot the name. But
Omega Kill?
Yeah, like I'm glad they didn't go Ice Queen with her. Like they could have.
Oh, like Ruby, like the girl, the ice girl, or she's like, "Oh, I'm better than everyone."
Yeah, like they totally could have. They could have did that, and it would have been cheap, but not even cheap. It would have been understandable. It would have fit.
Yeah, but repetitive.
Yes.
It would have been a bit. But I like the take they went with her. They showed the power system with the percentages, and to no one's surprise, they go to Kafka, and as Captain Ashino, the Hoshina, is saying, "Oh, no one can go below a 1, 0, a whopping 0%."
We're looking at another Deku Midoriya.
Oh man, tell me about it, man. Tell me about it. Young Midoriya.
Okay. Sidebar. Me and my wife were watching. I forgot the name of the anime, but it's about a guy who's running a restaurant that connects to another universe. And every Saturday, it's a reverse isekai because we of course there's story on the other world, but he runs a restaurant in our world and people randomly go into these doors that opens up every Saturn day or Odin Day or Saturday, like one of those.
It's a anime name.
Yes, right. And they come in, but it took forever. It took to the last episode for us to figure it out. The same voice actor for the English dubs of All Might plays the chef, and it's just so weird to hear him in a calm environment because he never raises his voice at all.
What's his name? Christopher Sabat.
Yeah, the dude who does Vegeta. Yeah. And then I didn't put that together that it was the same voice actor. And once we put all that together, me and my wife, I was like, oh, is he the king of all Saiyans? No.
Is he cooking?
Yeah, and then like we went and listened to it, and then we played them all together, and I was like, oh crap, it is the same guy. But it was just funny to hear, like, I mean, to go from Vegeta All Might to a chef, it's a cooking show. Like, imagine Food Wars without the sexual innuendos. Like, it's really food. Better. It's real, like food. Like they really get into it. Like it'd be like 30 seconds of him prepping and cooking and plating, and
no one
the
rice is super cooked.
The clothes get blasted off, and then it's like covered with whatever vegetable.
It's like a Kagura, like Senran Kagura game. Jesus.
But yeah. So anything else you want to add about Kaiju number 8, chapters 1 through 5?
I wanna emphasize that the first 5 chapters, it feels like it's like its own, like it can be like it wraps up really nice. There's more after that, and it definitely shows, but it doesn't feel like it cuts off like all of a sudden.
Yeah, no major cliffhanger for sure.
Yeah, no major.
It feels very complete.
Absolutely, it shows them. They're about to be tested on their second part of the test. Where they thought it was gonna be cleanup duty, but lo and behold, it's gonna be neutralizing kaiju.
Yep.
And Kafka realizes, wait, I can help them with the anatomy. Like I can provide backup. I can tell them where to shoot, how to shoot, from where and how. And it leaves off on literally Kafka getting blasted by a mini kaiju. And that's the end. Like he's super confident. He's like, oh no, I can do it. Every time Kafka says or shows some progress, there's some major thing that's like,
believe it, and then he gets sideswiped. Bam! But
yeah,
and I like that they really leaned into his job, like what he did for a living and how it's playing out. Yes,
it's like when people are like, oh, I went to college and I don't really do what I study for. It's like, no, but there's stuff that you can apply like on this now. Like he, in his mind, I mean, look at his workers. They're like super chill. They have a good job. They have good pay. They have good benefits with the apartments and the company cars. There's nothing to complain. It's more of an inner thing. He is not satisfied with where he is, and Reno is someone that pushes him to that. Pushes him to be better.
Better.
The rival nudge.
Yeah. Let's go.
But
Deku! Deku!
Oh, Bakugo. Hey, that's not a nudge. That's a blast.
Yeah. Young Midoriya. No, but let me stop before I start spoiling something. But guys, this has been the first episode of the Page Turners podcast. I'm actually like really surprised at how well this went. I love this. This was dope. I don't think we'll go so much backstory on ourselves next go around, but this episode is probably going to be
y'all
longer.
Want backstory?
Yeah,
come here.
yeah. Hit us up. Let us know. Let us know in the comments. Let us know. You'll see this up in the article and all that other fun stuff. But we're really. I'm glad we did this. This has been epic. Walt, thank you so much for inspiring this whole situation. Because believe me, without Walt, guys, this would not have happened. Just believe me.
I appreciate you and your optimism for something like this. Because I mean, listen, I don't have a lot of people that like are very dedicated to read manga. Then when I met you and you said, "Oh no, yeah, I spat through MHA," and I'm like, "What's that?"
Yeah. Bad.
100+ chapters.
Okay, time out. Let me explain before we go. This will be my final word outside of like telling you where you can follow us and all that. I didn't know Shonen Jump was so inexpensive. I didn't know it was only $2 a month. The moment, because Walt came on to Double XP, which is our Wednesday night flagship show every week for Level 1 Gaming here on this YouTube channel. So make sure to like and subscribe so that you can watch that. You see how I did that, right? But Walt was a guest on the show, and he brought up Shonen Jump, and I literally went and signed up that night that he told me about it, and I binge read. I'm talking, like, I had to explain to my wife that I'm probably 2 or 3 years ahead with My Hero Academia. I'm about 2 or 3 years ahead with Spy Family. It's like Tokyo Revengers. I mean, I don't think that's Shonen Jump, but Tokyo Revengers, that I'm years. And hey, no, that's the crazy part. Now I get how shows like don't ever catch up to the manga, or they just stop, or they come up with their own thing to kind of just wrap it up. I get it now because I'm legit years at the pace that they're going for My Hero Academia. I am, because what is each season, like 16 to 24 episodes with My Hero?
24 episodes. 26.
Yeah. I'm like a good, 80 chapters, 90 chapters ahead of where we currently are.
We're like in the 200s.
Oh yeah, my bad. Yeah. We're not even at the 150 yet, right? With the TV show to manga.
No, right now.
No. Yeah, this is what I'm saying, folks. I get it now. I absolutely get it. And
welcome, my child.
Yeah, and so my like, whew, yeah. So that's shown, man. Look, God. Okay, now I'm gonna shut up. You can find me at Baron J67. Make sure to follow everything Level 1 Gaming. We got plenty of. You can get all your news, everything from reviews to news and anything in between, at LV1gaming.com. But yeah, that's my final spiel. Walt, take it over.
Well, y'all can find me at Walt Lando on Twitter, and at the DualShock and Sense podcast every Saturday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I co-host alongside two fellow writers, Macho and Jay, where we talk about the latest in PlayStation and just video games in general. And if you go ahead and check us out now, our latest episode was a tier list ranking of all the Elden Ring bosses and mini bosses, and it's about almost 4-hour episode. So if you want to go watch it, I mean, you just grab a snack and lay back, and you got some content right there. But yeah, catch us every Saturday. And writing for LV1 Gaming and for Lords or Lognet.
Shout out to the Iron Lords, and most love to those guys. But yeah, much love, and like and subscribe and all that other YouTube stuff. Peace.